So I went back at her, and she did it again. I'm like, oh, I've messed up. She's gonna take me out.
Full stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight.
Well, I'm Steve Burge. This is my wife, Tana. And we are the ranch employees here for the Oklahoma Trophy Ranch. We can walk up on top and I'll show you how we separate them out. We went with the walk up overhead, and it works pretty good, but you know, since they're a prey animal, they still look up and they're a little cautious. So I always tell all our workers, you know, to not move around real fast up here, because it does slow them down if they look up and see you, because that prey mentality. We put up these to kind of reduce that visibility and give them a little shade too also, but it seems to help with that, to slow down that being scared about seeing what's above them. As you look out here, we got the large catch pen. It's a circular design because it makes it easier on the animals. There's no corners for them to hide in or get stalled up in. And we use a tractor or a buggy with the 14-foot panel on the front of the tractor to move them around into the funnel part over there, and then we bring them right down this funnel and come down this lane over here. But like I said, they'll come in right here, and we'll have somebody right there. We'll have a tarp up here so they can't see them. Again, if they see somebody up there, it'll kind of balk on us a little bit. And once we get them moving though, and then this person closes that gate, we got them in these lanes right here, and we got each of these separation lots right here where we can separate them out to work them. And all of these gates here are all sliding gates. With the quick latch, so there's no delay about that. And then got it with that foot pedal. Open it right up like that. We all use flags, you know, to put down in front of the bison's head. It's to slow them down sometimes if we're trying to separate a particular animal from the rest of the group in here.
How many people does it normally take to work this facility, and how many animals are you working?
Well, this may sound a little pretentious, but I designed this thing. I copied some styles from some of the other bison guys here in Oklahoma, and kind of made it my own. And of course, they all told me, once you design it, Steve, you're going to probably see some other things that you'd have done different. And they're right, I did, like I said. But my thinking was, I want to be able to do it by myself if I have to.
Sure. And
everybody said, well, that'd be tough. But it could, if I take my time. I can bring them in here, open my gates, I come in behind them, and I can shut this gate. And then I slowly work them. Like the other day when we had to catch one of our bulls that was injured, my wife and her granddaughter did it by themselves. That was 2 people, and they had no problems. Like she said, you just got to be patient. Can't rush these critters because they're so flighty.
Sure.
And but that's how they did it. Ideally, you know, I like to have, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 of us here to work them. And then we got a group down here at the working chutes there, down there. My wife taking the data, recording stuff, and then we got a guy working the head gate. And then if we have the vet out here, he's doing the vaccination stuff, and his assistant. But we can do it, like I said, with 6 people or less.
How many animals will this facility support?
We've got 158 in here. Where it's designed for 200 actually. We have 29 ponds on the ranch.
Really?
Yeah, but only really 4 or 5 of them that we fish in.
So how many lodges are there to rent on this property?
Well, that's the unit there for a family unit or whatever, and then we've got the big lodge that sleeps 16.
How many miles of trails is it?
Good question. A lot, because around the fence alone it's 13 miles.
You think it's somewhere around 30 miles of
so,
trails through it? And you said this was a research facility before the bison?
Yeah, it was a wildlife research unit.
So it's all high fenced?
Yes.
13 miles.
13 miles of high fence.
Yes, sir.
And is that electric or is that just regular high tensile?
It's all electric, high tensile. All right, so after when they come down this lane here and we separate them out, and then we want to start working them out, we'll put like 2 or 3 in this little section right here, and then we run them down through here. And if we want to load anything out, we go out the load out lane. And then if we're going to take them in here to where we're going to work them, we open this gate here for them to go in. So we did some modifications. You know, with this we bought this from another bison guy. But what we found was they would balk in here. They'd get in here and balk, and some of them to me it just took too long to get them out of there. So we modified it where it's one travel lane. Again, it's circle design, so they can't really see where they're going to go, but they're going to keep on going, and it worked really well. They just go right on around and go into the chutes there where we can work them.
So let me ask one question. Why do you have some of the facility made out of certain size pipe and some is made of different size pipe?
It's basically what we found locally. We get a good price on it. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. We try to keep it as heavy as we can. And if you notice this design here, I got it where we can see them, but we also put a slot in there. So if we use a hot shot, we can give them a little hot shot to motivate them if we needed to. But for the most part, with this design, that circular design, we never had to even use it this time. I mean, they just went right on around. So when they come out of the tub here, come in this first catch deal here, you know, we can have at least 3 animals in here. You know, we get one to go straight to the head gate there, squeeze chute, but we can squeeze these up also and separate them out. And this would be the scale. We'll be able to weigh them. She writes down the information on what they weigh, what gender they are, and then when they get through with that one, we move the next 2 in. We wound up making another modification to this working pen. Was, you notice we put the black rubber matting over here on the side, because we found we had a couple that you know, they see that space. We've learned that bison, if they see a space and they think they can bust through it, they'll try it. And we had one cow get her foot hung up there and her head caught up there. I mean, that one was enough to scare me. Think we need to reduce those chances, and so we did that. And the rest of them, we didn't have any issue about them coming through here, trying to find a way to get out. Because you get them confined, they get a little panicky. Now, the whole idea with them is, you know, if you think of them still as a wild animal, you know, you want to work them and spend as less time as possible with them to keep them as calm as you can. But they're bison, you know, they're wild. Kayak it, water's up, running. It pretty much runs all year round.
Does it really?
Yeah.
So do you have a reason why you go with high tensile electric over anything else, or was it there already? Or
Yeah, the fence was, when they doing the deer research and on this place, it was an experimental design to go with the high tensile fence. But I think it's worked out really well, because again, we're in a flood area on part of this ranch, and like I said, the water, the debris don't get hung up in it like it would a regular fence. And it's high. It's really discouraging for the bison to want to try to go through it or jump it with the 10,000 volts of electricity running through those wires. It's approximately 3,000 acres, and we've got a small herd of bison. And I kind of joke about this when people ask me how many bison you got. I'll tell a little side note here about my grandmother. Somebody would ask her how many cattle she's running, and I remember being this little kid at the barbershop, and they said, "Miss Birch, how many cattle are you running?" And she says, "That's like asking me how much I got in my checking account." So I'm always a little hesitant to say exactly how many bison we run, just because of that little incident. But we got a small herd, and on 3,000 acres, they break up into small groups, sometimes 27, 30 head, and keeps us busy when we're checking our bison. And Tana does a great job. She got a record book with her and her binoculars, and she's got good intuition about looking for them. I said, "Where do you think they're at?" She goes, "Well, I think they're over here at 18. We got food plots on the area also. This place is also managed for deer, and so it's kind of a holistic approach is what we're trying to do. We have the deer and the turkey and the wild hogs, and the bison is just something that we've always wanted to do. You know, not just for an income, additional income, but we just really admire this animal, and they're just really neat to be a part of.
It's kind of like, to me, it's therapy. Just going, I just sit amongst them, just sit out there in the buggy. That's what I like doing. Just sitting and looking at them.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, she does. It's very therapeutic. It really is. I mean, it's real therapeutic. Listening to them graze, grunt, and but we try to keep them. We realize they're not pets.
Right.
And but we don't treat them like pets. Of course, once, like I said, they get up here, you got your all the hydraulics here, your crash gate. You can work all that. Of course, this all swings out, so this person can see what's going on, and he can work all those gates. Also from here, squeeze them up, and then he can go back over here. So you can pay attention to your animal while it's in here to make sure that it's not too tight or not too loose. And then once we get through with that, and everybody's through doctoring, we open the crash gate. We already got the crash gate. We open it up, let them out. And of course, with the horses on, there won't be horses in here, but we let them run down in those other pens down there. And we hold them till we got everything worked before we let them out. It seems to be less stressful. Since they're a herd animal, they seem to do better as long as they got some company.
So something you see a lot with these bison facilities is a head gate or crash gate. Why that, and why don't you see that with cattle facilities normally?
Well, keep in mind again, they're a flighty animal versus these cows that are domesticated. I mean, the bison, we pretty much have semi-domesticated them with the handling of them, but when you don't handle them as much as cows, again, you got to have heavier facilities to take care of them. And they're so fast, like I said, I always tell my workers, you can't beat them to the gate, so don't even try. I always think of the bison as real competitive. If they see you start headed towards one gate, they're going to beat you there. So I always say, don't try to beat them. It's better to let it go. So same thing with this is you got to have this crash gate, because when they come from back there to here, they're here just like in a blink of an eye. And so they'll hit this crash gate, and then once they do that, then we squeeze them up with the head gate part. But they're just so quick. People don't realize how quick they are till they see them coming. And my wife has reminded me a few times that I'm getting a little comfortable, and because the bison are used to us versus anybody that's a stranger come out here. I mean, they'll stand there pretty close to me. They're not. I don't like people calling bison mean, because they're not mean. It's just that we humans make a stupid mistake. That's the way I look at it. So
right.
You got to remember, they're just a large animal, and but they're not mean. As I told her, if I ever get gored or beat up by one, don't let anybody say, hey, they're mean. Just say Steve Bird's made a stupid mistake. We joke about it when people come out here guest on the ranch. We tell them, don't try to pet the fluffy cows. You hear so many times when we first started the bison operation, people saying, why do you want to do bison? They're mean. You're mean. You won't be able to keep them in. On and on and on. And we've learned we have cattle that as long as you keep them everything they need, there's really no reason for them to leave. But every once in a while you might get one that likes to take a little walkabout, and that's one that we won't keep. If it won't stay with this girls, we're not keeping it. I'm actually a wildlife biologist and lands biologist for the place, and then we brought the bison in about 3 years ago. Because this property is a conservation bank, and so we can only have native animals on the property. And since bison were once native to this area, we thought, well, let's bring the bison back and have them on the ranch as another tool actually to manage the grassland, is what I was looking at. We do burning out here every year. We burn about 40% of the ranch, but I also needed another tool to help me manipulate the habitat. And bison actually are really good at working the habitat here, the tall grass. We have dominant tall grass in here, this ranch, and that's their main thing they like to consume. I mean, they do eat some broadleaf plants, but mainly the grass. The ranch is actually located near Ada, Oklahoma. That's the largest piece of community, you could say. Until we get a website out, people then will know they can find us that way. But we don't feed the bison every day, but when they come up around the corrals there, I like to give them some cubes just to keep them orientated that the corrals is a safe place. It makes it easy for us to catch them when we want to gather them up, and that's all we do. Otherwise, we depend on the grasses.
So you're mainly then grass-fed, grass finished.
Yeah, grass-fed, grass maintained, grass finished bison. Like I said, the cubes is just a little ice cream every once in a while, just to keep them orientated to the feed truck and to come in when I want to get them to come to the lot. And but I had one cow. We worked them in the spring, and that one cow, she decided she thought she'd give me the little bluff, and it made my heart skip a beat. I thought, I think I done messed up. And so when she did that, her first bluff, I thought, okay, I'm gonna bluff her. So I went back at her, and she did it again. I thought, oh, I've messed up. She's gonna take me out. But she didn't turn and run. And I was like, whew. And my daughter was up here. Yeah, my daughter saw it, and she goes, she's shaking her head. She goes, man. But I just know that from my experience working with any kind of wildlife, you know, especially cows, if you run from them, that gives them incentive to chase you. It's just a predator-prey relationship. And so I don't try to run.
A big thanks to Steve and Tanya for letting us see their ranch. Unfortunately, we weren't able to see their buffalo up close. They've got over 3,000 acres out here, and there's only about 600 acres that's all open. So the rest of it is wooded. So those animals are really hard to find sometimes. If you are a bison producer and you'd like to be featured on this channel, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Full stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight.